People's Platform.
Good evening and welcome to the People's Platform. According to the Constitution, sovereignty lies in the people. Those elected into political office are meant to serve and act in public interest on behalf of the people and their best interests. But what happens when what prevails is almost a dystopian landscape with policymakers exchanging blows and abuse, where there are lives placed at risk due to millions of rupees plundered as a result of rampant fraud, corruption and deal making. When there are laws, new laws and more laws being brought in despite an existing legislative framework in place. Let's find out from my guest tonight. I'm pleased to welcome to the show Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms, Dr. Wijeyadasa Rajapakshe, President's Council. Good evening and welcome to you.
Good evening.
Dr. Rajapakshe, dying societies accumulate laws like dying men accumulate remedies. This wasn't said by me, it was said by Colombian political theorist Gomez Davila. We see the same situation being repeated in Sri Lanka. Why do we need to keep bringing in laws, new laws and more laws despite having an existing legislative framework in place that works?
Yeah, that is why that as far back in 2007-8, you may recall, when I was as a member of parliament, when I was the chairman of COPE Select Committee, I presented 2 reports exposing so much of corruption. More than 1/3 of the annual revenue in that report I had exposed corruption in the public sector. We wanted to have remedial measures, but we couldn't do much about it except for several judgments given by the Supreme Court by taking over some of the assets which had been alienated. Then thereafter, when we established 2015, that's our good governance policy, that we introduced the 19th amendment, that is to ensure the independence of the judiciary, independence of the public officers, all the commissions and high officials. But unfortunately, all were reversed with the political change in 2019. As a result, of course, that we all face a political disaster economically, country was bankrupt. At a time like that, when there was nobody to take over this country, then we came forward and we started a new, all the people were asking for system change. In fact, that we started that system change by introducing the 21st Amendment. Then thereafter we passed another law, that is to curtail the corruption in elections, that is election expenditure bill, and that was passed despite that objections, opposition from the opposition parties. Then Anti-Corruption Act, that took about 18 to 19 years to pass in the parliament with lot of obstacles, still that we were able to get that act also passed. Now that we are gradually putting in the track, by having the laws it is useless unless that is they have been properly implemented. That is what really we are engaged at the moment as a government and as the Minister of Justice.
Sure, but that doesn't answer the question that we keep seeing new bills being gazetted without any consultation whatsoever from the stakeholders. Last week was a good example where 46 special determination petitions, applications were filed before the Supreme Court. And then the Honorable Attorney General's Department brought out a host of new amendments to the bill, which showed the manner in which there's a lot of time wastage that happens, Dr. Rajapakshe.
Yeah, you know that when we presented the 21st Amendment, in fact that when I took over this ministry, within 24 hours I presented that to the cabinet. But we consulted all the stakeholders, any citizens or any organization. We gave a hearing, we had that process for more than 5 months.
Yes, but that process is not taking place right now, at present, and you're the Justice Minister.
Yeah.
The online safety bill is an example of where stakeholders were not consulted at all and a bill was just gazetted.
Yeah,
don't you think it's incorrect?
No, that is, I think this bill, that the drafting was commenced as far back 2016 when I was the Minister of Justice.
Sure.
Then I think that's the Law Commission was responsible in the drafting the bill. That subsequently that I started some dialogue with the persons who are involved in the social media, and even after that I left the ministry, that consultation or the dialogue process went on for several years, whereas that there were many suggestions instead of a law that they will have a self-regulatory mechanism. I think that during the last, I think more than 4 to 5 years that there had been dialogues, but ultimately nobody had taken the responsibility of implementing or introducing any that self governing system. As a result of that one, the Public Security Minister has presented this bill to the Parliament. But it is not correct to say that there was no dialogue at all. In fact, that dialogue started in 2016. What happened was, from the other side, that the police also was complaining during last 3 years, there are over 10,000 victims in this year alone, this 2023. There are 3,500 complaints that those who have become victims as a result of this social media activities. Then there are two sides. You can argue on the other way, that is, it is not correct for us to have a law. Then the victims can argue that it is without a law, that that there is no remedy for us. It's a matter that still that we are open, we are discussing. Finally, you are aware that we will not interfere. That if the court says certain clauses are the violative of the fundamental rights or the right of expression, so we are not going to bypass the court.
Sure, but
we will respect.
Dr. Rajapakshe, do you agree that proper consultation of all the stakeholders and meaningful dialogue and discourse must be had at the stage of drafting a bill?
Yeah, that is why that is why I said that this is really, although it may not be publicized properly, but this consultative process started in 2016. But likewise, when I presented the bill, that is anti-terrorism, there were a lot of criticism. But before that, I announced that anybody who wanted to have a dialogue with me or with the government about the bill, we opened the floor for everybody. Then I gazetted the bill. Then still that there were a lot of criticism. Again I said that okay, that you come forward, we will have a dialogue. I withdrew that bill. Then again that after dialogue, that we prepared the final bill after having consultation with everybody, even the diplomatic community, all the ambassadors and high commissioners, that they came and discussed. All the civil organizations, media organizations, they came and discussed.
Right.
Finally what they have agreed that we have put into, because that we must not have any misunderstanding when we make laws, that we are not making laws for the survival of the government or a leader. That we are making the laws what is necessary for the people of the country. That we are concentrating only on that aspect.
One hopes.
Not hopes really, that if you look at that during last 1 year, that's on my subjects alone, I have got more than 35 bills passed in the Parliament. Now they are laws. That nobody makes any criticism about that, because people welcome that. Even anti-terrorism, anti-corruption bill, it's the landmark in this our history.
Absolutely, the anti-corruption act is fantastic, but there are also multiple instances where the government uses laws to weaponize against the people.
No, we
Do you
are
disagree?
not doing, that similar criticism came from all around the world when we introduced that Rehabilitation Bureau.
Yeah.
But what happened was, there had been certain clauses which that anyone might think that maybe due to the fact that they were Araga and as a result that they wanted to control the members of the Araga that is why the social activities, so that the some certain terms had been used in the bill. but that bill had been drafted long ago, but still that people had some doubt. Then we had dialogues, then people went to the court. Before the argument commenced, to the Attorney General we informed that all the clauses where the people have any kind of suspicion, we informed that we are removing that. Then we confined that bill purely for the purpose of rehabilitation of drug dependents, and we did it, and nobody is blaming now, because everybody accept that is for the betterment of our society.
Sure. Dr. Rajapakshe, when it comes to a bill being challenged, the constitutionality of a bill being challenged before the Supreme Court, now in this online safety bill, we see how 46 petitioners have filed applications challenging its constitutionality. So the court can only go through the decide on the constitutionality. They can't really decide on the merits of the case.
Correct.
So that has to be done at a prior stage through consultation, meaningful consultation.
Yes. Now really that we encourage that. Now not only that 46, if there are many more, we still encourage them to go to court, because finally that's even I am the minister, although I am the Minister of Justice, or even being the Parliament, that we can't interpret the law. The law has to be interpreted by the Supreme Court. That is an exclusive jurisdiction vested in the Supreme Court. Therefore, that's many people coming to court and taking many different arguments, and that is good for the development of the law. But still, even after it's been endorsed by the Supreme Court, maybe that they might say strike down certain clauses, they might say to amend certain clauses. Even after that, if you feel that is not good enough for the betterment of the people or the well-being of the people, or still that there are certain restriction unreasonable, but still we will consider. That is why even after we take that to the Parliament, then there will be lengthy process within the Parliament also. The first that we will take up that every bill to the Ministerial Consultative Committee. Then there is an oversight committee, and when we discuss with parliamentarians representing all the political parties, sometimes they say that certain clauses are not good, that certain clauses to be changed or amended. We accept. Even in Parliament you may have seen, even on the floor at the committee stage,
yes,
even the anti-corruption bill from the opposition, that there were many suggestions, many amendments, which I accepted.
Okay. Going on the basis that that laws are enacted towards the betterment of the people,
yes,
could you tell us the reason as to why the Animal Welfare Bill still hasn't been enacted, and the Sign Language Bill has also been delayed for far too long?
In fact, that this sign language bill, especially that's the main bill, is the disability rights bill. When I assumed the duties in May last year, it was brought to my notice. Then I had a lengthy dialogue with all the stakeholders. When I was the minister earlier in 2015 also, that I started the drafting the bill through my team.
Right.
Then what happened was, this particular ministry, social service, then they had said that it is their duty, that they will attend to that one, and they wanted to take it over from our ministry. Then of course that we didn't want to get involved, possibly because it is not my subject.
Yes.
Then this time also, when these people came and told me, I started the meeting. Then what happened was, again some secretary had said that it is their subject, that they are going through it. Then I said, you take it. The same thing happened. Finally somebody had told the President that this is been not attended by the Ministry of Justice. Then President said that no, you must take it over and accelerate it. Then I took it over again, and I got a expert team, and we did the draft, and we gave it to the relevant ministry, to present it to the cabinet. Finally what happened was, they have had some other meeting with there are a lot of organizations, disabilities organizations, societies, and they have, you know, added certain things that it has got distorted again.
Right, but the act has to be brought.
Act has to be brought.
Right?
Yes, but it has to be, you know, when we have to bring a bill to the parliament, we have to be very careful. You know, that there can be various other repercussions if it is not the proper one.
Absolutely.
And thereafter, then I said that get the Attorney General legal draftment, and where certain duties had been entrusted to the Human Rights Commission, and Human Rights Commission itself came before into our ministry, and we had almost the final discussions, and now we have entrusted that to the senior officer of the Attorney General's department and the senior officer of the legal draftment department.
Okay.
Again, once they finalize it, we will have to, you know, take a lot of precautions. When a bill being, you know, brought to the parliament,
sure,
sometimes I may have gone more than 50 times or 100 times.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, but people are suffering as a result of the act not being enacted.
I know that one. That is, I know, because even anti-corruption, we signed that UN charter as far back in 2004. I started the drafting in 2015, then I was removed from the cabinet 2017. That's, you know, was
sure. What about the animal welfare bill? That also
animal welfare bill also
delayed.
That is also in that social service ministry. In fact, that there had been some discussion in the parliament. There was no much involvement of mine, very frankly. But if there is, certainly that's anybody ask me to or send it to me to accelerate it and to finalize it, I can do it. But as good that you raise it, certainly I will look into that one.
All right.
Because I have got a lot of letters also from many organizations. There were few concerns, but I, you know, unofficially got was that there are some concerns in the event. It may not be correct.
Okay.
This is, you know, that's unofficially what I heard. They say that some people are in villages, they are using, you know, cattle for their flowing of this paddy fields and things like that. Then even if they, you know, make use a stick, then even these farmers might be convicted for a thing like that. And there are that kind of concerns, certainly, that we will have to look into them.
Sure, absolutely. Okay,
we have to be reasonable in both sides, no?
Okay. Shifting gears, Mr. Minister, a few days ago, addressing the United National Party convention, the President announced that the presidential election will be held in 2024, which is next year. Now, this is already in the electoral calendar. It is nothing to be announced, right?
Certainly. And there was no necessity for him to make an announcement, if not for so many vile allegations being made by many quarters, saying that we are going to postpone it. And
yeah, but that's because the local government elections and the provincial council elections have been postponed countless times.
That is not by this president or this government.
Either way.
That is, yes, I agree. Either way, I am the only one that who opposed to the amendment of local government election bill act and also the provincial council election act. That is because that bill was drafted and we approved it.
Right.
But when it came to the parliament in 2017, all these small parties, people call as minority parties, whatever, that's in numerically small parties,
right,
with, you know, that's 5, 10, 15 members in the parliament, they all got together and pressurized the then prime minister, that is the present president. Then they pressurized them, and they introduced totally a different setup at the committee stage. And finally, even the percentage got, you know, the change, that is 70 to 30 became 60 to 40, and everybody got together and contributed. I, of course, being a member of the government, that I was not, I was against it, but I couldn't do anything beyond that, because all the parties got together and got that bill passed.
Okay.
But as a result, what happened was that they, in fact, I am one of them who went to court. Supreme Court asking that election to be conducted either under the old law or the present law. If there is a lacuna in the present law, I argued, then you must have an election under the existing law prior to the amendment. But still Supreme Court ruled out, no, that you can't have the election either under the old law or even under the new law. and then we were involved, but it was not my responsibility, not my subject, but still that we were involved in making that corrections. In the meantime, certain things happened. You know that in 2018 the Prime Minister was changed, then government was changed, then thereafter Easter Sunday attack came, the COVID-19, that there had been delay.
Sure.
I agree that is not a good thing, but that is the background of it. That's what I can tell you.
But what you just laid out was a clear case of political manipulation from all quarters,
Yes,
right?
yes.
As a result of which we still don't have elections. I mean,
Yes.
that's the bottom line. So how do we resolve this?
Now, just
Is
to
it
resolve,
important? Is it not important?
That is very important. That is why when we took over this government, now not more than 16 months, then you know the situation of the country when we took it over. That's power cut is going over 13 hours, then the fuel and gas were not available, no essential foods. With all these problems, we had to look into the economy in the first place, but still we did not neglect our part when it comes to the legislations. Then we introduced this 21st Amendment that was passed with lot of obstacles. That is to ensure that hereafter that politicians cannot get involved or interfere into that every sphere of the government, that there are, that judiciary must act independently, then government officials should act independently, all the commission must act independently. Then the corruption was the biggest issue, we concentrated that on and we passed that. Then mostly people say that the corrupt people are coming to the parliament and not giving a good service to the people, and therefore that we will have to find a way out and to have a good system for educated people, professionals, academics to get into the parliament.
Speaking of corrupt
that
people,
that is why that we changed that electoral reforms also, that is to the extent of regulating the election expenditure. Despite that's the opposition, main opposition opposed to that bill, but still we got that passed.
sure.
That is how we will have to do gradually. That there are so many important and vital laws that have to be corrected.
I have two questions,
Yes.
Dr. Rajapakshe. First, over the past few months and weeks, we saw the manner in which allegations of large scale fraud, corruption and deal making were reported from the state health sector, specifically with respect to procurement, as a result of which people died and people are dying because of faulty medicines, etc. So the key stakeholder who has to take on the burden of taking accountability, taking responsibility, having investigations is the Minister of Health. However, today in a cabinet reshuffle, the Minister of Health was just changed. So where is this issue of accountability? I mean, how does that feature?
Yeah, the first thing is that you will have to look into as to how this kind of corruptions took place in procurements. You may recall in 2015, in the 19th Amendment, we introduced two important commissions. One is National Procurement Commission, other one is National Audit Commission. The procurement process is the one where the doors are wide open for every kind of corruption. And that is why for the first time we introduced National Procurement Commission. Then if there is any corruption took place or fraud or deceits happen, then the power is given to the National Audit Commission. Those two were the most important commission as far as that's economic affairs are concerned. What happened was, when 20th Amendment was enacted, both commissions were abolished. But in 21st Amendment that we reintroduced both.
Yes.
Now certainly that there was a political decision taken by the President to change the ministries, and that today it was entrusted to a senior politician who is the medical professional,
Okay.
Dr. Ramesh, And certainly now this Anti-Corruption Act, that is a very powerful law.
Yes.
Now that came into effect on 15th of September.
Yeah.
Now we are going to, that's Constitutional Council is going to, they are in the process of appointing members also. Now the people have made so many complaints. Now if the minister has made any, he was involved in any corruptions, that anybody can expose him, anybody can make a complaint. But in the, if the officials, there are a lot of allegations against NMRA, and then I know that there are certain complaints also made, but the present today's commission is not very much effective. But we hope that the next commission will be very powerful commission. Today that we approved their salaries also, very high salary. I think that they are going to get the highest salary in the public sector. And we will entrust them to attend all those matters and to implement the law. That just because that he is the minister, or even I am the minister, we don't want to have any sympathy or excuse.
Okay. My last 2 minutes on the show. The Lawyers Collective has released a statement expressing its profound concern about President Wickremesinghe's recent appointment of a commission of inquiry without any prior consultation. With respect to electoral reforms, what's your comment on this?
In fact, that on my own, I presented the cabinet paper for parliamentary electoral reform.
Right.
In principle, it was approved.
Okay.
Then in the cabinet, there was a committee appointed, Honorable Prime Minister, myself and few ministers. That is, not to present the bill to the parliament, to discuss with all the party leaders in the parliament.
Okay.
Then we had a meeting last week. Some party leaders didn't come, but most of them came, and they agreed that within next 2 weeks time that they will give their proposals and their ideas. In the meantime, that President has appointed another committee. It is to be chaired by a former, the retired Supreme Court Chief Justice, Honorable Dev. And that is just to get an overall study on the all 3 elections.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that we are going to cut off it from all the people and the lawyers. Finally, that before any bill being present to the parliament, that we will have interaction with everybody.
Okay.
We will discuss with the bar association, then OPA,
Right.
in trade unions. When I presented the 21st amendment, that bill, I discussed with more than 100 organizations, minimum 100 organizations. That included media institutions, trade unions, political parties who are in the parliament, and those who are not in the parliament.
Okay.
And that's religious leaders.
Okay. Okay.
We will give a hearing.
Okay, Mr. Minister,
We will never miss the thinking of the people and their requirement.
Okay. Okay.
Because there is no law that requires for our benefit.
All right.
Individually.
On that
That is
hopeful note.
That is for the benefit of all of you, Sonali, yourself, myself and everybody.
Okay. Well, hopeful words to live by. Thank you very much. Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms, Dr. Wijeyadasa Rajapakshe, President's Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity that you afforded me.
All right. Thank you for watching us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.